Nikki Haley, former South Carolina governor and former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, is one of the few people that exited the Trump administration relatively unscathed. Many talk about her possible aspirations to higher office. On January 8, 2021, responding to Twitter's permanent suspension of President Trump's account, Haley tweeted, "Silencing people, not to mention the President of the US, is what happens in China, not our country. Hashtag unbelievable." Nikki, you got it backwards. Ambassador Haley's tweet is infuriating because it encapsulates the gross misunderstanding of the First Amendment that plagues a large segment of our population. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution reads as follows: "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Note the first two words, Congress shall. The First Amendment applies strictly to the government, not private companies. So if Twitter, Facebook, or any other private platform decides to kick someone out, as they do hundreds of times every day, because of violations of the platform's terms of service, their guidelines, or any other reason, the First Amendment simply does not apply. The platforms are well within their rights to kick out whoever they want for any reason, the same way that a bar owner can throw a guy wearing swastikas out of his bar simply because he doesn't want his bar to become a place where Nazis congregate. The man's wearing of swastikas is protected by the First Amendment, so he can't be arrested for that. But the First Amendment does not compel private companies to allow free speech. Not only was Twitter within its rights to kick out the president, it had another strong reason for doing so. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996 is widely misunderstood, but what it does is protect platform companies that allow user content from being sued for anything contained in that content, even if the platforms moderate the content. Without the protections afforded by Section 230, for example, people could sue Facebook for content posted by Facebook's users. The internet as we know it could not exist without Section 230, but there are two exceptions. Two areas where Section 230 does not protect platforms: intellectual property violations and federal crimes. If you post a video of Avengers Endgame on Facebook, it will be immediately taken down, because if it's not, Facebook will get sued by Disney since Section 230 does not apply. Similarly, if a user post constitutes a federal crime or incites people to commit a federal crime, that post is not granted safe harbor by Section 230, so the platform could be criminally liable. Needless to say, storming the Capitol, as President Trump clearly incited, is a federal crime. Not only were Twitter and Facebook within their rights to suspend his accounts, they were also at risk of criminal prosecution if they didn't. There are obviously valid arguments to be made regarding the problems presented by the huge influence of social media platforms and the political power that is thus concentrated on unelected individuals like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey. Those problems should be addressed, but that discussion and those possible remedies are unrelated to the First Amendment and free speech. One last thing regarding Ms. Haley's use of the word silence in her tweet. To imply that kicking the President of the United States off Twitter and Facebook silences him is laughably absurd. The President has all sorts of powerful ways to communicate open to him at all times. In fact, the President has a press briefing room in his house. All he has to do is walk over to it, step up to the microphone, and begin speaking. All major news outlets would immediately cover whatever he says. The best responses to Nikki Haley's tweet schooled her thusly. You've got it exactly backwards. Forcing private enterprises to broadcast the leader's speech is what happens in China. Indeed. I'm Jack Azut. Thank you for watching.